Of course, Justin Leppitsch was going to be asked about the vacant Richmond coaching position, which he was yesterday. Have we got a grab from yesterday? Yes. Okay, this is what he had to say. I just want your reaction to him talking about it. I haven't asked my wife yet, which is a really important hurdle to get
Handled
over.
it beautifully, Lepper.
What else would you expect him to say?
He's saying, look,
other than just completely and utterly ruling himself out.
Unless you like Nathan Buckley, who I asked on Sunday,
Yeah.
for the record, and he just said unequivocally no. Not interested, so that's fair enough. But Lepper answered it how you'd expect him to. If they came and made the most compelling pitch for him to either put his name forward or whether they identified him, because he said, they know who I am, then I think he'd be a fantastic candidate. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Is there anything that they wouldn't know about him that they would need to test Justin Leppitsch?
Well, no, I wouldn't think so. Not given what he just said then.
Right.
If he's still as close as he is with certain people down there at Richmond, influential people down there at Richmond.
What if they said to him, okay, we want to do psych testing on you?
I think that's fair. I think
because that is just standard procedure.
Yeah, well, I guess what he's saying is if they're going to throw a wide net like Collingwood did, which was, depending on who you want to believe, 50, 60, 70 names to start with, then he doesn't think that would be necessary from his point of view. But if it got down to the real pointy sharp end, then, he might go through the process or he might not.
Mm. By the way that he answered all that questions yesterday, in my mind, even listening to that, and sometimes these things can be taken out of context, but I think he's been, as he said, he's been long enough out of the game for any pain that might have been associated with the way that he departed the Brisbane Lions now to evaporated, and he's probably ready to put his feet back. And the other thing, he's probably seen, in that experience that he's had, he's seen Dimmer, but Damien Hardwick, and the way he's gone about it and the success they built. And then he's seen his mate Craig McRae come in with a style that, maybe 10, 15 years ago, people would have thought, that's never going to work being like that, that type of person. Now he's thinking, I've learned a lot. I've learned from Hardwick and I've learned from McRae and my experiences here. There is another way that can do it. And maybe that way of doing it, which is not the way maybe he did it the first time around at Brisbane. Maybe it's more of his personality. He thinks, okay, well, I wasn't necessarily authentic to myself the first time around. I can be this person and still be able to deliver the message and ultimately get success.
And you know what I think the hardest thing for him would be, right? And this I don't know how you answer this, but this is exactly what he's got to ask himself. I might just be more suited to being the best tactician and the best 2IC in footy. In the whole of the competition, that might be me. What the qualities that you needed to be the main man and the qualities that you need to be the 2IC, that is the man who sits in the box while Craig McRae sits on the ground. And Buckley talks about this all the time. All the coaches lately, I hear him say, hey, it's not just me. It's as a group. He may be the number one 2IC in footy. The job that might best suit him, if Richmond are looking at him, is to say, hey, come and be that 2IC. Maybe senior coaching isn't suited to your personality. Right. And I think that's the biggest question that he will have to ask himself. Am I better suited to be a head senior coach? Because I've tried that and I wasn't successful, albeit, we think he'll be much better second time round. But I have been a 2IC at a couple of clubs and I've had great success in that role. Maybe that's my position in life.
If that was, though, you'd probably just stay in the position you're in because that's where he's already at. So
no, 100%. But, 100%. But how it's structured, they might say, look, we're going to restructure this at Richmond. We're going to put the head of tactical and I don't care what you want to call it on the same level as the head of man management team morale sort of thing. I don't know. But
so are you saying, do you believe that that's Craig McRae's role? He's sort of like the head coach, but he's not necessarily the tactical coach. All that stuff goes, obviously they sat down during the week and they plan A, B, C, and they played out all the different scenarios.
Yep.
He sits down there on the bench to give players direct feed when he's there.
Yep.
But all the other stuff, the tactical stuff, the manoeuvring takes place because he believes so much in the people up in the box. Yeah.
I don't know that to be 100%. That's the way I'm perceiving it and reading it. If you're sitting on the boundary, then you're seeing what you can see. You're interacting. You're emotionally coaching. Yeah. You're tapping into the heart, and
And managing the emotions of the players. So
And
they're
then
coming
upstairs
off the
it's Bolton and it's Leppitch and it's your stats bloke sitting next to you screaming out, this is happening. They're making changes. They're seeing that. So that's a really key role. And he, as I said, he might be the best in footy in that role. He might not be the best senior coach. It just might not be for him. We've seen that. I've been involved and got it wrong with a coach that I thought was able to go and step into that senior role, but no, he was a much better assistant coach or a much better 2IC. I want to ask you about this. The All-Australian halfway from Hoyne, Daniel Hoyne, champion data. So they've put it out. It's purely off data. So I know we're all going to have our own, and we did when we read it. We went, what? Well, this is all off data. It's off their rating system. There's no opinion in this, so it's just off the data. That's the explanation that's been given. So I'll read it out for you, and then you can have your say.
Just on the data, though, because people are going to say, well, what data are they using?
Everything that comes to their disposal.
Everything they've got at their disposal,
and
the way they break
their
down.
unique rating system. That's the way it's done. So you can make it what you will.
But I think it's also important to say this. And the distinction is that they are measuring this against every other player in the competition that plays in the same position.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
And there's an element of...
So if you're a small backman like Adam Sard, who they've named in the back pocket, he's been measured against every other small defender in the game that plays that
is the
similar
way
role.
I understand it, if someone wants to tell me differently, but that's the way I understand it. So the team, halfway Hoyne, All-Australian team that was released last night, Sard, Darcy Moore, James Sicily. Halfbacks, Nick Dacos, Jack Buckley from the Giants, and Jack Sinclair. The wings, Nick Martin, that is, from Essendon, Zach Butters and Mason Wood. Dustin Martin's interesting. Charlie Curnow, Jack McRae, Toby Green, Joe Danaher, Brent Daniels. There's some names here. Brodie Grundy's the ruckman, Marcus Bontempelli, Christian Petrarca, and then the four-interchange are Houston, Liberatore, Bolton, Shea Bolton, and Clayton Oliver.
Right.
Names not there. Just I'll preempt exactly what's about to come flying off the text. No DeGoey, no Merritt, no Rao, no Neil, no Dawson, no Wilkie, no Rosie, no Anderson, and no Jeremy Cameron.
Which...
Well, he was the best player in the world about a month ago. He's the best player of the last 100 years a month ago.
Okay. You could argue, though, like if you look at Joe Danaher's, there's a big conversation, after one game against the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. But, I mean, he's been consistent. Is Cameron still leading the goal kicking?
Charlie Curnow, I think.
Okay, so you couldn't argue that Charlie Curnow couldn't be in that.
Well,
team.
he's the centre half forward.
Yeah, and you can only go with two probably key forwards.
Could you liken Jeremy Cameron's role to Dustin Martin's role?
Yeah, you could.
He's had a better year than Dustin Martin.
I would have thought so.
That's why these are great fodder.
They're just conversation starters, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
Like Matty Rowell, I go through the coaches' votes and look at, Matty Rowell has been voting consistently well through that. You look at DeGoey, and we talked about him the other day about how rounded he is now as a player and a midfielder, and you'd have to think that he would be one of the better players in the competition right now as well. Zach Merritt's had like a great year as a midfielder, but, you're going to put a midfielder in, you've got to take somebody out. So do you take out Marcus Bontempelli? Has he been better than Marcus Bontempelli? Does he rate higher than Christian Petrarca? Does he rate higher than Zach Butters? Probably not. Zach Butters, as we know right now, is probably data-wise, statistically, the best midfielder in the game.
Josh Dacos had a better year than Nick Martin. It's jumping off the temper test. Just as we said again, this is data-related, no opinion, so... Of course, it's a great conversation starter, as you say. Just throw them up there, Whispers.
Would you have
debate
thought,
them.
Before you saw this land, and you watch Melbourne more closely than anybody in the country, as you keep reminding me.
No, I don't.
Is Brodie Grundy, has he had a great season? Is he the best performed ruckman in the competition?
I wouldn't have
Only
thought so.
by your eye, your eye, not statistically.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought Tim English early in the piece.
He's dropped, apparently... Statistically, he's dropped off a bit in the last month.
Yeah, there might not be a standout ruckman. Like Max Gorman's had he's owned that position for 6 years, and he missed a big chunk with a knee. Sean Darcy at one stage would have been right up there.
What about Action Jackson?
lately, the late last month.
But is he viewed as a ruckman, or is he viewed as a ruck rover, or is he viewed as a key position player?
It's a good question. So don't get all upset out there. Just no, get upset because that's good. You can get upset.
We want your feedback.
We want your feedback.
Bingo.
Calculating Cal Twomey knows the football
Cal.
landscape better than anyone else, the national landscape we're talking about, and he joins us on the line. G'day, Calculating.
Good morning, Garry. Good morning, Tim. Yeah, the mid-season draft last night was good to see a few players get their first opportunities AFL level and a couple get another chance at the top level.
Well, you've come in very serious.
Very
what about
serious,
our joke we just told? Didn't you like that?
No, I liked it. I was going for the boom tish as well, so I was hoping for another one by the end of our segment.
All right, okay. He's a stand-up guy, Cal, I can tell. What can you tell us then about the number one pick taken by the West Coast Eagles last night? Just a quick synopsis, Ryan Marich.
193 centimetre forward, Ryan Marrick. He's playing from the Gippsland Power. He's a Bailey Fritsch type of goal kicker, I'd say, that type of player. Done some really good things at the Gippsland Power in the Coach Talent League this year. Also, his last couple of weeks for Box Hill Hawks playing the VFL, I think have basically locked him in for number one. And I think most clubs would have had him at the number one pick in their own orders. So he'll go over to the West. I know he's coming up shortly on the show. He's a really good kid. Good sense of humour to him, and he's taking his opportunity. So, yeah, 2 years ago, he was weighing 107 kilos and kicking goals for Druin. He's done a lot of work to get himself in the sort of shape and fitness to be up for the opportunity. So, yeah, he's a likely type.
Okay, let's go through these a little bit quicker. Maybe pick 2, Robert Hansen Jr. for North Melbourne.
He's a small forward from Subiaco, 19 years old, and he'll be coming across in the next couple of days. I like him. He's got some real speed.
And at the end of each of your little synopsis, just tell us whether you think he'll play straight away or play a handful of games or maybe play 8 or 9 of the next 11. So will Rob Hansen play for the Kangaroos?
Maybe late in the year. I think there's a little bit of a way to go. He's more of a long-termer than some of the other guys.
Okay. Clay Tucker was taken by the Hawks at pick 3 from the Eastern Rangers.
He's a 204 centimetre ruckman.
Whoa.
He's turning 19 this year, so we won't see him, I don't think, at AFL level this season, but played over the weekend for Box Hill, so has been training with the Hawks, pretty familiar with their program, averaged 20 hit-outs through the under-18 competition this year, really improved after being overlooked this year, and, yeah, I think we'll see him more long-term as well.
Pick 4, Richmond took Matty Coulthard from Glenelg. I believe that he's a very good driver in heavy traffic. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a relation to David, but there we go. We got it. The boom fish. I like that one, Tim. Hey, he kicked 4 goals on the weekend for Glenelg. He's a small forward. He's got the Tyson Stengels about him. That's the type of player I'd call him. He's more of a chance to be playing soon because he is 22 years old, 176 centimetres, and really crafty at ground level. So small forward there for the Tigers.
GWS had 2 picks last night but elected not to participate, so that was anticipated?
Yeah, I think if Clay Tucker had gotten through, the young ruckman, then they would have probably grabbed him, but he went before their first pick. So they were the only club to pass last night.
I had a very funny joke for our next guest, but we can't find the audio, so we'll move on. Sydney Swans have taken Harry Arnold from the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, this is more of an immediate need. 24-year-old key defender from the Brisbane Lions VFL program. So he's formerly also from the Gold Coast Academy. Really improved this last year. The Swans have been eyeing him off for probably about 12 months or so, I think, but he did get injured last year. So he'll be ready to come in and play. Also being a part of the Brisbane program helps him step into the Swans lineup. I think we'll see him this year.
What did you have for us, Garry?
What you talking about, Willis?
For Arnold.
For Arnold, yeah. But Coxie couldn't find it.
Now, it was very hard to split up the next 2. They both obviously wanted to go to the same club because they're a duo. But pick 7, Geelong went with Mitch Hardy. Pick 8, Fremantle went with Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, Mitch Hardy's a ready-to-go player. Geelong have gone from the mature age. He's 25, a midfielder from Woodville, West Torrens, averaged 26 touches and a goal, 6 clearances this year in the sample. So he's ready to go. Ethan Stanley, a bit of a different type, a wingman, played really well in the Young Guns game a couple of weeks ago, has some flash and dare, kicked 2 goals in that game, so he'll be more of a long-termer, I think.
Now, we'll just revisit a joke that we went with earlier in the program. Here's the 2 of them having...
Oh, no, not again.
Playing billiards last night just before the announcement came through.
My break. It's my break. It's my break. You went in the pocket there.
Sam Newman will appreciate that joke. I'm not sure many others will.
Do you know who that is, Cal?
No idea.
That's Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy.
The Bombers have gone for the former Melbourne and West Coast winger, Jaden Hunter.
No, not quite.
No?
He's over west, but this one's come from Perth as well. 196 centimetres tall forward. He kicked 5 goals on the weekend. Essendon were over there for that game. They watched him do that, and timing's everything in the mid-season draft. So he'll come over. He was overlooked a couple of years ago. He was actually first eligible in 2020. Not sure if we see him this season or next, but add some more depth to their tall forwards.
Right, like it.
The Doggies went with, they do this. They like to get a recycled type player in the draft. Caleb Poulter, who obviously was at Collingwood last season.
Yeah, and he is a player that they've picked up knowing that he can come in straight away. He's come from their Footscray VFL program, so been under their nose there. Played 12 games for the Magpies, 11 in his first year, and then was cut last year. So wingman, left footer, uses the ball pretty well. As you say, Tim, that Footscray program has been pretty productive for them. Anthony Scott, Ryan Gardner, Robbie McComb, a couple of others. Mitch Hannon, Jordan Boyd have also been picked out of there. So good production line at Footscray.
I wonder whether Quinton Narkle thought that he'd be going to Essendon, given that he's been employed by the Bombers. But Port Adelaide picked him up last night with their pick 11.
Yeah, employed. He played at Richmond. He trained at Richmond over summer, then went to the Bombers VFL program. He's also been involved in a role in the Indigenous space. But goes over to Port Adelaide. I love this from Port. He's 25, adds to their midfield depth. They're in the window, and this is where the mid-season draft can be really handy. They add some extra polish and help to a midfield unit that's already very, very strong. But you never know what's going to happen at the end of the season. So he's ready to step in. They're second on the ladder. Why not go for the now and Port have?
Hawks are gone for Brandon Ryan, Northern Bullants.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, actually. He's 25 years old. He's the cousin of Freo's Luke Ryan. Very different player, though. 200 centimetres, bit of a beanpole, 90 Ks on him. But he's kicked a lot of goals this year, 18 goals for the Bullants in the VFL, kicked 5 against the Swans there as well. Even though he is 25, I still don't think we'll probably see him this year because he needs to sort of have a bit more time in the gym, I think. But longer term, he might be worth a look and certainly has shown he can kick a goal.
I just want to backtrack and just check on the height of Harry Arnold because apparently Fox Sports reported that he's...
As I said, what you talking about, Willis?
He's 94 centimetres tall. He's much bigger than that, isn't he?
Add an extra 100, yeah.
The Tigers have now got a Mansell and a Coulthard and are looking to draft a centre ahead of the 2024 draft. And we're off to the races, pun intended. That's from ads. They've jumped on beautifully, our audience. A couple more. James Precise, our man out the back, Swatson reckons he used to dominate him when he was playing for Kilcunda Bass in the Bass League last year. He's been picked up by the Tigers.
Yeah, he has. Just to keep the joke running. Angus Schumacher was actually nearly a draft.
Now you're joining.
Now you've got your stride.
188 centimetre defender James Precise played for Tooradin last year in the Gippsland Comp. Won a premiership there alongside former Magpie Brent McCaffer. So pretty versatile. We've seen clubs do this and grab players out of their VFL like we just spoke about with Caleb Poulter. And the Richmond VFL program's been strong too in the last 3 mid-seasons. Sam Durham 2 years ago, Tim. Massimo D'Ambrosio last year, and now Trezise this year.
I believe Melbourne are filthy that Sydney jumped ahead of them at pick 15 and took Jack Buller.
Yeah, the Mount. He's a mountain of a kid too, 199 centimetres, 100 kilos, and the Swans pick him thinking that he can play in the second half of this season. So a forward ruck, kick some goals across the start of this season in the WA competition, mould himself a little bit on Charlie Dixon. So I think we'll see him at some point this year.
All right, now a couple other, that's a very comprehensive wrap and beautifully done. Graham Myers, the Cats, are you about to lock him away?
Yeah, Josh Gablich reporting this morning in Inside Trading that he's set for a 3-year contract there at the Cats, so that'll tie him through to the end of 2026. So that's a good little bonus for the Cats. He's obviously a premiership player last year and has been fantastic this season. One of the best users of the footy, and his scoring involvements, goal assists are off the charts. So a good one coming there for the Cats.
Explain to us what you mean by a pre-agent and who of them are being tracked for potential moves later in the year.
Pre-agents are the guys who are a year before they become free agents. So they're in their 7th year generally. So pre-agents have often been moved out of clubs by virtue of, one, trying to get a bigger deal at the time, but also clubs trying to push out players or move players a year before they hit free agency so they get a better trade deal a year before they only get one compensation pick. So, look, last year, Jacob Hopper was a free agent. He was 1 year away from being a free agent. He goes a year before that, and the Giants get 2 picks instead of 1 for him. So there's a few really top players in this year's pre-agency pool. Tim English at the Western Bulldogs, McCluggage and Berry at the Lions, Darcy and Cox at Freo, Dacos at Collingwood, McGrath at Essendon. Brandon Parfitt's another one who'll be an interesting watch this year. I think clubs are having a look at him. Obviously been in and out of that side since being the sub in the premiership last year. So he's one that I think clubs will be keeping an eye on. Elliot Himmelberg, another one at Adelaide as well, who could be gettable. And Richmond as well is an interesting watch with Jack Graham. Obviously toured Port Adelaide last year. So he's one that could be in that mix too.
Someone has suggested that Marty Hoare, his best intercept marker he's seen at VFL level. Was he ever looked at? Former Demon?
Yeah, he was. He was. A few clubs looked at him, and he was probably unlucky not to get another shot. Obviously, he played about 15 games for the Demons a couple of years ago, had that knee injury as well, and then was delisted. Trained with North Melbourne last year. He did have a few clubs show some interest in him, and he's played some great footy for Williamstown, but didn't get a shot last time.
Calculating, that is as comprehensive as we knew we'd get from you, the number one man in the business. Hang on, Wispy's back.
Oh, no. I've just got a little joke I'm setting up, but we've got to say goodbye to Cal before we can play it.
All right.
Okay. Bye, Cal.
Talk next week, Calculating.
Looking forward to the joke.
You stay on the line and have a listen. It's going to be a zinger. Righto.
Well, I just got Craig Willis. Apparently he was at the draft last night interviewing Harry Arnold.
What you talking about, Willis?
That was my joke.
I'm helping you out.
Oh, you're claiming my joke. Oh, unbelievable.
Okay, you set it up.
No,
then.
you've already
go
no,
again. You set it up.
That's disgraceful.
He's the voice of the AFL.
It's like
Craig...
drinking someone's beer. You pinch me funny joke about, that's it. Go